Hey everyone. Okay, so how do you take a road trip with your family and have it be fun and not want to pull your hair out? And how do you create family bonding memories that will last with you forever? So join us today because Brandy's going to share her real life experience because she has 8 kids. And you'll hear me say that again because she has 8 kids, dear Lord. Anyway, as they travel around the country, she knows every trick in the book, and she's going to share some really cool ideas for your next family adventure. So stick around. My name is Cheryl Bassett, founder of Unstoppable Connections, international bestseller and creator of the award-winning Unstoppable Family Meeting Toolkit. I am also the host of this show, Kitchen Table Conversations, as part of the Edge Network. Now, families do get to tap into what I love to share, which are the 4 gifts. And those 4 gifts create an unshakable, unbreakable foundation for families. So if you would like to learn more about how you can bring that family connection into your home, you can go to unstoppableconnections.com. Now, if you would like to be on the show or you have an idea for the show, you can actually reach out to me at kitchentableconversations.com. Now, what I like to do is I like to set an intention for the show and kind of ground it, if you will. So because this show covers what I call the fun stuff to the tough stuff and everything in between. But it's all designed to ignite conversations, to strengthen your family, and to create a positive ripple out into the world. Today, we obviously get to tap into some of the fun stuff, which I love doing on the show. We also, though, choose to unwrap one of the gifts that I do get to share, which is the 4th gift, the gift of love. And it is in that where we choose to celebrate ourselves and others that we welcome with an open heart and an open mind to the people who come here and share their passions, their heart, their talent, and their joy with us. So with that, today, we're going to welcome Brandy Gleason. And let me just real quick before we get started, and I bring Brandy on so you can meet her. Let me just tell you real quickly about her. She's a certified travel ambassador. She's a mom of 8. Yes, I said that already, but it's worth repeating. Grandma to 3, and has been married to her husband, Matt, for 28 years. She enjoys spending time with her family and creating those memorable trips, which she's going to share some with us today. Brandy is soon to be a published author. In fact, she has a 4-book anthology coming out, and it's going to be due out in just a few weeks, actually less than a month, around the 1st of October. So with that, let me bring on Brandy.
Hi there.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Well, it was sort of like hit or miss to try to find a time that you weren't traveling.
I know, right? Even with COVID, we've stayed busy.
Yeah, I know, which is great, right? Because as you know, there's a lot of families right now who are getting to sort of navigate spending more time together, but you've always been doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So what I love to do is start off by just sharing or having you share, like, why do you do what you do? How did you get started into this? And why are you so passionate about everything that's unfolding for you with your family travels?
All right. Well, that's a great question because this was an accident, becoming a published author and writing a blog. So what happened as I've homeschooled for 23 years. So that's a really long time. So I always think it's funny when people say, oh my gosh, you have 8 kids. And then, oh my gosh, you've homeschooled for 23 years. And so about 3 years ago, we were homeschooling and the kids were doing an online science and history program. And a week before the second semester, the business went out of business. And all of a sudden I was stuck with no curriculum to teach my kids. And so Matt and I were brainstorming about, okay, how can we teach science and history and do it in a way that we can count it as school and it would be fun and exciting. So I said, let's study national parks because you can send away for their junior ranger book and they'll send it to you for free. And then you can do all the work in it. And then you send it back to them and they'll give you a badge and give you a certificate. So that was my idea. And he made it broader. He said, let's backcountry hike the Rocky Mountain National Park. We're from Ohio. That's like super flat. It's not rocky. And so we had to do some training. And so we started training and preparing. And I figured, how am I going to keep track of what we've done in our hours? So I started the blog and then I started the Instagram to keep track of pictures. So that
just real quick, give me a timeline here. You were doing this when your kids were younger, obviously. How many years ago was this?
Oh, so like our travel, we've always traveled, but keeping track or blogging and writing about it was only 3 years ago. But we've been traveling for years and years and years. So for 25 years actually. And so the kids, they can tell you about all kinds of crazy trips that we've had where we've slept in the back of cars when we hadn't even planned on stopping. So, but anyway, that's how the blogging got started and the writing. And so here we are, you know, being able to share on this platform is really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I bow to you.
No, it's just fun. It's just fun.
It is fun. And, you know, it's like, I can look back and now that my kids are older, like my grandkids are going to get more of that, because I wish we would have done more of that. So, you know, I'm going to vicariously live through your stories today, because I feel like we didn't do enough of that.
I literally took the grandkids yesterday to a metro park, and she actually went to pick up a bug, and it was a wasp. So panic attacked. So yeah, it's a different thing to travel with grandkids than it is with your kids, though. I will tell you that.
Not really good or bad, just different.
It's just different because it's you can step back and let the parent panic, and you can just kind of be like, oh, that's
well, yes, that's true. Although I have one of my daughters, she has 4 boys, and they're like 4 and under. Well, one just turned 5, but we go up and hike. She is in Colorado, in the, you know, and I find myself going, oh my God, like that's too close to me. Like I'm the one still kind of, but it was so fun to get out with them and to see that. And that's what, again, I just like, I would have done more of that. So I get to do more of that now, which is great. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I know you're going to share some really cool stuff, because obviously you've had, not only have you had all these experiences, but you've done it with 8 kids, which most people obviously wouldn't have that many. So what are some of the things, like, where do you want to start with kind of sharing some really neat stuff or tips and tricks for people?
Well, I think since this is mostly about planning a good trip, how do you do that? How do you make it fun? And how do you make it so you don't lose your hair and go crazy? I mean, Matt and I kind of were joking about, we went somewhere by ourselves recently, and I said, it's so nice that we don't have somebody in the back seat going, how much further? He touched me, or he's on my side of the seat, or whatever. So how do you plan that, and how do you make that happen? So I thought that would be a great place to start.
Good. Let's do it.
I think planning is a great spot to start. One of the things that I like to do is be very intentional about the planning and kind of hone in and do the research, and then sit everybody down at the table and start talking about what are some things that you would like to do? Where would you like to go? What's your ultimate dream vacation? So that you bring them into that conversation so that they can really be part of this journey with you. I think that that's just a key to planning for me. And I want to make sure that I pick some place that appeals to everybody, not just Matt and I, but also to the younger kids or to the older kids or whatever we're looking into. So the planning, I think, is the number one piece for me as I get started.
Yeah, and I love that, because obviously that's my heart, right? Let's have a family connection at the kitchen table, and let's allow everybody to feel heard and valued in that process. So that's what you're talking about, which is great. Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to start there. And so maybe if somebody's listening and they have a difficulty coming to the table as a family, planning a vacation is a great place to start, because everybody has an opinion, and it's easy to hear that opinion, because it's not, they're usually not like super crazy, you know, unless somebody says, let's go base jump off of the mountain or a bridge, you know, that one I'd be like, whoa, but usually they come up with things that that would appeal to me as well.
Has there ever been a time where your kids said something they wanted to go do that surprised you?
Yeah, actually right now my 13-year-old is studying Japanese culture because she's into anime. And so she really wants to go to Japan, and it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, I'd love to go to Japan too, but that's going to be a tough one to try to navigate and figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys have done a lot of the outdoor adventure travel, more so, right?
Oh yeah, that's we're big campers. We love to be outside. We love to be in nature. Actually, we just got a brand new camper yesterday. Yay!
Oh wow!
So, yeah, she pulled in the driveway. It was so exciting. So I'm really excited. My husband's actually talking about taking off a day of work already and like working the kinks out of the camper. So we love to be outdoors. I really find that the outdoors brings a lot of connectivity as well. I'll just share a little funny story with you. So we're talking about family connections and how taking a vacation can bring that together. So when we went to the Rocky Mountain National Park and backcountry hiked, so we were all in big packs. We're hiking. We're hot. It's hard. It was challenging. to say the least. We got to the first night and we got to camp, we set it up, and we're not really wealthy people. So we only could afford 2 hammocks. There were 5 of us. So 2 and 5, that means there weren't enough for everybody. So we had the kids, they strung them up in the trees. And so they were in the trees sitting. And then there was, get out of my hammock, stop bothering me, because you're kind of hot and tired, right? And so I was like, why have we done this? This is really hard. I'm hot. I'm tired. There's bears. I'm a little panicked. And I couldn't wait to go to bed. I was just like, oh, my goodness. And so the next morning we got up, and that was our really hard hike, because we were going up 1,200 feet. And we got to the camp, and they set up the hammocks again. And I was like, oh, boy, here we go again. And, they got in the hammocks together. They were like, hey, come over here and sit with me. And by the time that there's no internet, there's no phones. It was just a perfect place to connect on. And we were up at Fern Lake. And that to me was just such a neat opportunity to bring our family together with those little hammocks.
Well, there's something to be said for no internet and no phone. And, obviously we could all value, all of us, from that once in a while, for sure. So obviously we talked about planning and getting everybody's voice in the process. So what else would you recommend?
Preparation. I think that's the next really good step, is to have good preparation. And I wrote down a few things. Pack simple. One of the things we do to save money is fly Spirit Airlines. And so they're dirt cheap, but you get no luggage. You get a backpack. And so we say, okay, take enough clothes to fit in your backpack, and we'll find a laundromat while we're down there. So we've learned to just really travel lean. The less you have, the less you'll be stressed, to be honest. Plan your meals. If you're staying in a cabin or you're, doing anything like that, you'll be able to have, everything you need kind of done. So planning in advance is really important. Mapping it out, finding some places to stop while you're on your way.
Yeah, good. I'm just right in the middle. My husband starts asking me if I want sausage and eggs. Anyway, I apologize.
I locked my door.
Anyway, yeah. So the preparation, the planning. I'm trying to see what else you had, because you sent me these notes, right? This was one that jumped out at me, and I don't know if this is your next point, but I'm sure we can get back on track if I throw you off track. But don't overbook.
Yeah, don't overbook. That actually does go into the next one, which was plan fun. So we literally just did a 2-week stint, and my husband said, let's just pack it full. I said, okay. No problem. So we were 5 days in Indiana. Then we got home, got up the next morning at 3 a.m. and got a 6 a.m. flight to Florida. We were there for 5 days, flew home, got up the next morning, picked up a rented camper, went up to Lake Erie to Put-in Bay for 3 days. And then we came home, and it was no break for 2 weeks. And we got done and we said, never again. Don't ever do that again. So kind of think about what your family likes. Are you morning risers? Are you, late at nighters? And plan how you normally live. So if you don't get up early in the morning, don't plan anything early in the morning. If you like to stay up at night, find out what the nightlife is like where you're going, and really engage in the things that work for your family. So
really, the reason it resonated with me was because when my boys were younger, and this was in my first marriage, but we took a vacation and everything was really planned, and my husband's like, okay, well, we're done with this. And we were having such a great time doing something, but he's like, okay, we're done with this. We got to move on to the next thing. We've only got a half an hour to get there. And I was like, oh, so yeah, I was like, can we just flow with this, right? And allow for really enjoying something. Let's not cut it short to go do something that might not actually be as enjoyable, or just allow. So I learned, that was one trip where afterwards I said, never again, to plan it to that extent, that detail, right? Because really it was all about just appreciating and enjoying the moments that were happening versus we have to be on the timeline. So
by the time we were done, we were dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then something else about planned fun, definitely try to pick something that engages each one of the kids. Or so if you only have two, it's a little easier, but when you have eight or more than probably two, I think it gets to be really challenging. And I have one who's really, really quiet, and he won't say, he'll just do it. If I say, we're doing this, he says, okay. If we're doing this, okay. But never really gives his opinion. And so we were in Fort Pierce, Florida, and we were in St. Lucie County, and they had these scooters that you can rent. I don't know if you see those in the big cities. They're called scooters. Mm-hmm. Well, we rented these scooters to get around town, and he had a blast. And for the first time, like in forever, he went, I can't wait to find some more of these scooters so I can go. I mean, he just loved it. So, once you know something that a kid likes, try to, especially the quiet ones. The loud ones, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The loud kids always get kind of what they want because you want to shut them up. And the quiet ones just kind of go along. So it's great to find what that quiet kid likes and make sure to try to bring that along too.
Yeah. And to your point, so if somebody's just jumping in here, Brandy has 8 kids. So if she can find something that actually all 8 kids can sort of engage in, surely most of us who have 2 or 4 even can find something that everyone can kind of feel like they're involved in being a part of. So yeah, which is great. So, okay. So we've done planning, we've done preparing, we've done the don't booking and shoving too much in. And then I noticed you have plenty of space to relax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So make sure you have downtime. So that's one of the things I kind of already hit on, but let's just circle back to if you're a morning riser, get out and do your things and come back and relax in the evening in the hot tub or in hammocks or whatever you're doing. But if you're the nighttime kind of people, your downtime and quiet time, make sure you schedule that in the morning when you're, a morning coffee drinker or whatever, make sure you don't miss that relaxing time, because that's what vacations are for. Like, we're supposed to relax and rejuvenate, right? I don't know how many times I come home from a trip and I've said, I need a vacation from my vacation. So try not to do that.
Yeah, done that. Might be taking one of those in a couple of weeks, actually. So, but you also have down here. So what's like, obviously everybody's doing this like VRBO, the vacation rental by owner, and the Airbnbs and stuff. Have you found all those experiences to be pretty positive, or are there any little things you should be looking for when you pick those places? Or
no, we have actually had great experiences. We're actually doing a VRBO coming up this week. So it's actually local. So actually, if you're a family and you can't get away for very long, you can actually plan a staycation where you can find a VRBO close to home. This one is like 5 miles from our house.
Oh, cool.
They have a pool and they have all kinds of fun things to do. It's kind of like on a little farm. And so we just kind of go, and those truly are relaxing times to me, is when I don't have anything, but we're just going to go and relax and enjoy, some downtime but it's away from house. So I don't have to like clean anything. I don't have to do anything. It's like really,
it's just a different environment, which I think is great. And we also were staying at an Airbnb in a couple of weeks. We were going out to Colorado, and same thing. It's on a little farm, and it's like, and here's the other piece of it. And you probably know this, but we were going to rent a hotel room there that was like a half mile from where my daughter lives. And it was, a certain amount a night. And then the Airbnb was $1 more a night, literally $1. And it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath place. And and we can actually bring all the kids over. And instead of just having one little room, right? Yeah. So I think there's so much cool stuff out there right now.
Yeah. And let's just talk about COVID just for a second, because it's something that's really happening right now in our time. And that a VRBO is just a really great way to self-isolate as a family unit. You're not in a big space. You don't have to worry about anything. You can cook in your VRBO. You can have food delivered. I mean, it truly, truly is the perfect way to vacation right now.
Yeah, I hope we inspire someone today to just go, you know what, I'm just going to get away. Even like you just said, even if it's 5 miles down the street, just because we have all sort of been not doing as much, right? Not going out as much and doing things. So, what a fun way to kind of just feel like you said, a little staycation, even if it's, not very far away, but still just a different environment to get into. So
yeah, and as a tourism ambassador, just let me add as a side note, this really helps these families who do have these VRBOs or Airbnbs right now, because this has impacted their families too.
yeah,
So
everybody.
just going nearby or doing a staycation or your next trip, pick something where you're really truly helping a local economy.
Right. Well, that's a good point. Very, very powerful. And I think the more that I know we did a lot of takeout at a restaurant down the street when we couldn't actually go there. And like, of course, maybe it was our excuse to do it more often, but I also felt like, hey, we're supporting, like it felt good.
That was my excuse. Takeout Tuesdays all week long, all the time.
Yeah, there you go. So obviously you do some cool stuff. So you write about this, and would you encourage somebody, obviously after their trips, to like write down their memories about it and like create that as a sort of something you do, so that you kind of harness so you don't lose some of the things that were some of the memorable making moments that you had as a family?
Yeah, and actually that's something I really encourage people to do. So if you don't have an Instagram, starting an Instagram is a great way to keep track of what you're doing. That's why we have our Instagram account. Every year I download it into chat books, and you can do that right online, and it makes like a family memory book for everything that you've done throughout the year. And it's so easy, because you don't have to do anything except download it and say 2020, or okay, so 2020 won't have anything in it because of COVID, but 2021, hopefully we'll get out more, right? But download that into chat books, do a memory box, prepare in advance like a box where you're going to bring home like maybe some of your attraction tickets or little things that you've picked up. We like to collect coffee mugs, so we always get a handcrafted coffee mug if we can find one and bring it home. I think doing a travel journal, we actually have a journal we use when we go camping, and we say where we stayed, what site number we were at, things that we loved about it, what we did. And we like to look back, because you can look back, we've been camping forever. And like East Harbor State Park is where one of our kids learned to ride a bicycle. And so it's so fun to look back and say, oh, look, that's where he learned to ride his bike. And it's just so special. And
putting those
memories back for sure.
If someone wanted to follow your travels, because obviously that's what you do, you blog about where would they go to tap into some of your stories and your travels and things? Your blog, I guess.
The blog is really easy to find. It's just Gleason, Gleason, GleasonFamilyAdventure.com. It's a great way to find me. You can also find our Facebook page and Instagram account right there on the page as well. So you can just click there and take you to those places.
Okay. I usually do this before, and then I have you look at it to make sure I'm spelling it right.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Gleason Family Adventure, Gleason, familyadventure.com. So that's your blog, and your book that's coming out, that's going to be like some of the compilation of all that kind of stuff too. Is that?
Yeah. So the first book is called Midwest Road Trip Adventures. And the reason we picked this title was, COVID played a little bit of role in that. We wanted people to still get out and explore. And what a great way to explore in your car, finding neat little roadside attractions or places to stop, picnic spots. So they're actually a compilation of 12 writers. I'm the writer for Ohio. So I've written about 4 of Ohio's scenic byways. So that's just a really neat way to get out and explore. My favorite place in the book is down in Southern Ohio, was someplace called Marv's Place. It was a little restaurant I just happened to stumble on, and the owner was she was older, and so she just was sharing her stories with me, and it was just so awesome. And then another great spot is Holmes County, which is the largest Amish community in the United States. So Ohio has some great places to explore.
Yeah, they do, and that's what I think it is sometimes there probably is a place 5 miles down the road, like where you're staying, right, that you don't even realize is there.
Yeah. That's true. I just did some research, and literally 3 miles from where we're staying is another scenic byway I didn't even know about. It's called the Olentangy Corridor on State Route 315.
Okay. What's it called again?
Olentangy Scenic Corridor.
Wow.
On 315.
Yeah,
I know.
I got to that too. So
I know. I was like, okay, I'm going to go drive that and check it out.
Yeah. That's great. Well, of course, and it's easier for me because I'm in Ohio too, and not too far from the places you're talking about. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So we are, obviously we've done a lot. And if you're just joining us again, Brandy's got 8 kids, and she's been traveling. She's been writing about it. Yes. And I don't know if that makes her like really amazing or absolutely crazy, but we'll let others decide that. I can't even imagine. I had two. Then I had 2 stepdaughters, but they were older. So we've never really had we didn't even have a Brady Bunch. And you have what was the show? 8 is Enough.
Yeah, it really was. No.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're going to agree with that. And so you also had on here, which obviously spoke to me because when you sent me your notes, but you said have a nice mealtime each evening. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I love that, right? That's where I think the kitchen table, right, comes in, right? Hence the show, Kitchen Table Conversations, because I feel like that's such an important place. And it's a space where I feel like it almost opens up the heart to share.
Mm-hmm. It really does. It really does. I find that no matter where you're having your dinner in the evening, whether it's in a nice restaurant, McDonald's, at your Airbnb, wherever that's at, when you just slow down just enough to talk about the things you've done during the day. What was your most exciting thing? What took you by surprise? What would you like to do again? I mean, literally, even if you've had a bad day with the kids, say somebody hit somebody and it just didn't go as well as you had wanted it to go. When you sit down at the end of the day, no one's talking about that bad incident. They're actually talking about the really amazing things that they did. Because one time we got really mad. We were in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Kids were driving us crazy. And it was time for lunch. And I was just like, why are we here? I just want to cry. It's just not well. And we were on this route, and there was a beautiful stream beside it. And I'm like, my kids are fighting. I can't even enjoy this beautiful piece of nature. But we decided to stop and have lunch because we saw this picnic table. And we pulled off, and we got out we always have picnics because like I said, we just didn't have a lot of money raising kids on one income. So we got our picnic out. The kids literally got out of the car, started throwing rocks in the creek, and they started having fun, jumping around. We had this delightful lunch. We got back in the car, and it was like, that was awesome. And if you asked them what was one of the highlights of that day, they would have said, oh my goodness, when we pulled over and had that great picnic. Matt and I were pulling over out of desperation, but it turned out to be a really amazing time, and it happened over food,
I love that. Like sometimes you just have to slow down and
breathe in.
Breathe. Yeah, exactly. Take a deep breath. And then sometimes the things that you think are not going so well actually turn out, and you go, wow, you know what? That was actually pretty awesome. So that's great. So we're kind of getting down on that narrative. So what other things would you really want to share? And then we always close out with a dot, which is a drop of thought, but maybe share a couple more things, and then we'll do the dot, which is like a pearl of wisdom, which I'm sure you have many. And then
I think the thing I would like you to take away from this is don't forget to have fun. When you're out with your family exploring, and make sure you have fun, whatever happens for the day. One time Matt and I went on this trip, and I was panicked because it was called a jetpack water adventure. I am a grandma, and I thought, I should not be doing this. I'm going to break a hip or something. But we did it, right? And it was really amazing. And I look back, and it was like, so even if it's out of my comfort zone sometimes, go ahead and do something, as long as it's not really dangerous, that the kids want to do. So if they want to go horseback riding and you don't like horses, most of the time, these places that are doing horseback rides, these are well-trained horses. You're probably not going to get bucked off. Go ahead and take that chance with your kid. They will remember it forever.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking as you were saying that is I think sometimes sometimes we think we're going to achieve fun, and really it's not really about achieving it. It's about allowing it. And
experiencing it.
Yeah.
That's the thing about travel. If you go and experience something, you'll never forget it. And it's something that's just there in your soul forever.
Yeah. I love it. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Great. Obviously I'm sure you've done so many things, and that's why people really should probably reach out and look at your blog, right?
Yeah, and if they have questions, I'm an open book. Shoot me your questions. If you need any help, I'm happy to help you take that first step and start planning something with your family.
Yeah, perfect. Love it.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. So anyway, and there's so much we talked about today that really obviously tugs at my heart, because the heartbeat, everything that I get to do is really about that family connection. My dot that I always share is that, ripples don't flow in, they flow out. And if we really want to see change out in our world, it's going to start with us in our own homes, with our own families first. So thank you again, Brandy, for being here. Great information. And I know we do playbooks of all the shows. This is going to be one that's going to just be packed full of just really great ideas and inspiration. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.